The Deathwing are undoubtedly one of the coolest forces of Space Marines in all of 40k, so with the imminent arrival of my copy of the Deathwing Assault Box, I've been hyping myself up to play some all Terminator lists once again. The only thing that's really missing is an appropriate looking Chaplain, so I decided to kitbash one. Starting with the Terminator Chaplain that's been recently released, I built up the body and the legs just as you would with the normal kit, and to make it more Dark Angels-y, I took this part of Chaplain Seraphicus, the model from Dark Vengeance, and these were going to kind of be my two foundation points. Along with this helmet, which is from the Interrogator Chaplain Firstborn kit, this gave me a really nice kind of starting place, and I kind of had a rough idea of what it was that I wanted to create. So out of the two choices, I decided Stormbolter was the way to go, a little bit of extra firepower. I don't know if the extra wound from the shield is really worth it, that might change in the future, but as you can see, we get started by gluing the Stormbolter arm straight on, as you would normally. Next, I wanted to have a Crozius that was a bit more Dark Angels, so I took the Terminator hand that comes with the kit, and compared it to this one that comes from the Interrogator Chaplain Firstborn kit that we mentioned before. I decided that the more Dark Angels looking piece was definitely the way to go, so I chopped the Crozius above the hand, and then I did the same thing with the Terminator Chaplain's Crozius, just cut straight above the hand. I had a quick look at what that might kind of look like, and I thought it looked really good. So I got on with gluing the Chaplain's hand to the Chaplain's arm. Nothing revolutionary here. And we glued that arm to Terminator body, just making sure to position exactly how we want to. Next, I glued on the shoulder pad to the arm that we just glued on. And then I glued the Crozius from the Interrogator Chaplain to our Terminator Chaplain's hand. Here's what it kind of looks like after it's glued together and cured. So setting him aside for now, I had some work to do with the hooded head that I was using, so I just kept repeating this step of shaving down a little bit of the head and just checking how well it fit. It still protruded quite a lot and I wasn't too happy with that. So eventually, after I couldn't shave anymore, I decided to fill the inside of the Terminator armor with glue. This is just going to soften up and melt the plastic, which means that after a little while, we're able to jam the head in and kind of push it fairly deep in there because a lot of the plastic that was stopping it from going in has kind of melted away. So now the head is sitting roughly where I want it, and I'm rather happy with how that looks. I added the little armor pads on the hips, because I completely forgot to do that. Next, for a bit more of a Dark Angels look, there was this really cool sensor from the Firstborn Interrogator Chaplain's backpack. I decided I was going to cut that off and use that as part of this build. After cleaning it up just a tiny bit, I had a look at what that might look like if I put it on top of the Terminator plate. I thought that was a rather nice addition, so I got that glued on. And just from the top down, I was making sure to be as accurate as possible with placement and the angle that this was going to sit at. I wanted it to be nice and central and look like it was supposed to be there. Now, the most in-depth and hardest step here was this tabard from Chaplain Seraphicus. Unfortunately, a bunch of my footage has corrupted. Seems to be a common problem. So I'll talk you through what I did. I took off the foot, I took off the shoulder pad as carefully as possible, and I took out a massive amount of volume from the back of the tabard. I mostly shaved it down with a little file. It took me a very long time because there was a huge amount of plastic. It wasn't just the tabard on the original model, it was also a bunch of the Space Marine armor plating. Here you can see I had to shave away a whole bunch of the Terminator plate as well. And I just kept dry fitting and shaving until eventually we had this kind of fit. I once again used that method of putting a lot of glue on the back of the tabard so that it would melt and soften. And then eventually, when I was kind of happy, we shoved it straight onto the Terminator Chaplain. The last thing I needed to do was just throw a couple of decorations into this sort of gap on the side. And once that was done, it was ready for painting. And here he is. I had a lot of fun making this model. I think that it definitely captures the spirit of the Dark Angels far better than the original Terminator Chaplain does. It's a fairly simple conversion. A lot of the work really comes from Chaplain Seraphicus' tabard. That gets so many Dark Angels details on the model just in one piece, but it was a lot of effort to actually make that piece fit. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making him, and I'll see you again next time.